Oh my gosh, y'all. I just saw a video that said an unhealed man runs from woman to woman and runs once a woman figures him out because he's running from himself. And this is coming from a man. This was a man's video, and that just opened my mind, blew my mind, made me look at everything so different. Because think about it. Think about every situation you've been in with a man, that when you start calling him out on certain areas in his life, when you start really learning him and seeing those unhealed wounds, battles that he's fighting every day, and you speak on them, what does he do? What does he do? Does he try to heal? Does he try to get better? Or does he bounce? I'm blown. That's crazy. That's crazy, because I never thought about it that way. A man runs from himself because he doesn't want to heal himself. So he continues to run from woman to woman until she figures him out. And then it's time for the next one.
Today we're talking about why some men bounce from woman to woman. Not because they're irresistible or high in demand, but because they're running from the one person they can't escape from, themselves, okay? Hey Rych Babes, it's Robin Malign, and listen, let's get right into it, because I know some of you have been on the receiving end of this, and it's time you saw it for what it really is. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and I will be back at the end with the rest of my commentary.
Watch the video, and men, do not jump on my case. This came out of a man's mouth. That man said an unhealed man runs from woman to woman. An unhealed man runs from woman to woman, and he runs when that woman figures him out because he's running from himself. Think about it. Anytime you dating somebody and you actually care about them, I'm talking about you gonna be in tune. You gonna be trying to, study their character, what they like, what they dislike, what they struggle, and everything. Because that's what you're supposed to do when you love someone and you're really involved with them. But when you start speaking on that man, trauma, his demons, his the things that you see, is a trigger for him, what does that man do? And I'm not gonna say all of them. Let me make sure I say that. I'm not going to say all of them, baby, because all of them don't do that. We got some grown men out there, okay? But what do they do? Right on, sir. Right on. Oh.
I stopped chasing him the moment I realized he was running from himself. How many guys do you date where you can see that they're just running away from the problem that's actually right in front of them? They're not willing to face their own pains. They're not willing to reflect on the problems that they were also bringing into the relationship. There's not true movement there where they're willing to work on the relationship from a place where they could drop their pride and ego and say, you know what? I see that my part of this was here, and what I know I need to do is support you in yours. And how can we come together and see eye to eye so we can create a healthy dynamic in love? But if you find yourself being the teacher and the fixer and trying to solve the problems for both sides of the relationship, then you're becoming a mother to a boy who's running from himself. So don't forget that.
Unhealed men are hunters and chasers. Healed spiritual men who are deeply rooted in their masculine are nurturers. If you look at father and how he treats his daughter, he's not chasing. Nobody's chasing. But that's how a man should be when he likes a woman, when he's healed. If there's a game of chasing, I have to act hard to get. He gets me. Then he acts hard to get. Then I get him.
Yeah.
Then every time I want to be nice, I don't text. It's like too much. It's too much for my head. I cannot do these games. And as I said, imagine I like him and I'm not calling him or texting him because I'm waiting for him to do it.
Yeah.
And Sarah dies the next day. What's my last memory with him? I didn't do it, and my last day with him, I didn't do anything because I wanted him to chase. I'm not waiting for a man to choose me, I'm choosing him.
Men that run away from responsibility typically run to women and use them as shields. If men run from parts of themselves that were displayed in perhaps a very tragic father figure that was very aggressive and domineering and controlling, they run to the mother and drain the mother dry with the things that they were running from.
It's such an interesting phenomenon, but it is so true. It is so sad to see that play out in households and how it impacts the atmosphere in a home, the fear that it causes. They actually often don't know how to come back towards an integrated sense of self because they can't truly fully recognize those parts of themselves that are so destructive. And even if they do, they revert back to these maladaptive tendencies because that's the only way they know how to truly survive.
That's the danger of not understanding the moral responsibility you have from life, which is, I get it, we all have to. But look at what you not being aware of you just surviving does to those closest to you and what you become.
But if a man is unhealed from his own traumas, sometimes all he can see is through that trauma, Bishop. His mom will be the same strength that he resents in his woman because he thinks that she's controlling him. And lots of times, no, we're not trying to save you. We don't want to heal. We're not trying to do that. We're really just trying to support you. But if a man is unhealed from his own traumas, sometimes all he can see is through that trauma, Bishop, that sometimes he can't see that we are really here to help. And then here's what happens. The unhealed version of him wounds the woman. There are a lot of us in here who was down for the man. And we are now seeing him treat a whole nother woman amazing when we were there and he wounded. Well, he may not have wounded us, but he was so wounded that he bled on us and made us believe that we were wounded.
The stressors behind loving an unhealed person is real. You start having anxiety when you didn't even used to be an anxious person. You cry so much, you start questioning, are you depressed? You lose your self-value. You lose your sense of worth. You used to stand on morals and values. Stand on business. And now it seems like loving an unhealed person has caused you to compromise all of those things. And we see it so much in society. Think about how many toxic relationships that we see on social media, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's your best friend, whether it's the household you grew up in. We just see it so much. And it is an absolute real thing. When you are trying to love a person who's not doing the work to help themselves, you almost take on the necessary tools that are needed to help heal them. And you're not even a therapist. You think loving them more is going to make them stop cheating. You think loving them more is going to make them stop lying. You think giving them more is going to make them respect you more. You think doing everything for them and becoming their everything. They have literally became almost like the breath in your body. You think that if you give up every part of who you are for the sake of loving this person, you think that they're going to in turn reward you for those things. But unfortunately, you get rewarded with more lies, more infidelity, more brokenheartedness, more broken promises, and it can be very difficult. And no, I don't have no advice for you, except for you gotta do your best to realize that the same energy that you gave that person, you have to give it to yourself. And you have to try your best to heal.
A man that's in survival mode cannot love you correctly. You cannot build with a man that's still in survival mode. It's going to always turn into struggle love. When a man's main focus is just making it through the day, he's not going to have time to consider your feelings, your heart, or your needs. Because he's not thinking about emotions or emotional safety. He's thinking about surviving. When you try to love a man that's already drowning, you become the lifeboat. And you're going to get dragged down as well. Deep down inside, the men that's in survival mode, they don't want love. They want comfort, control, and security. If you're not careful, you'll really be stuck in a long, toxic cycle. Trying to prove your self-worth to somebody that don't even know their own worth. You're constantly trying to pour into somebody that can't even hold water. You're constantly being misunderstood when he wasn't trying to understand you in the first place. A lot of people are emotionally unavailable, but they expect you to be emotionally present. They'll be inconsistent but want you to be loyal. They're unhealed and want you to heal them while they break you to pieces. Men that's in survival mode will take from and use anybody that they can. Even the person that they sleep next to every night. They'll take everything that you have to give and still not know how to love you. That's not love, it's self-abandonment.
So today I saw a post that said, trying to love a man whose mother didn't love him or abandon him is one of the most destructive things you can do as a woman, because he will destroy you and your perception of love. And for a man that has not, resolved his trauma, you know what I'm saying, he has not faced it, and he still has a long way to go with his healing. Yes, that is so. I've actually been in 2 situations with one man whose mother abandoned him physically and emotionally, and the other one, the mother was there physically, but she was not present emotionally. She was very verbally and mentally abusive, and she neglected him. And I'm going to share how these turned out. So in the first situation, where his mom, abandoned him altogether, like as a baby, his perception of women was distorted because he still has so much unresolved trauma with his mother. Every woman that he came across was basically an extension of his mom, whether he realized it or not. See, what happens is when we have traumas, we have not worked on healing at all, you know what I'm saying, that are still affecting us. Our partners in our relationships are going to mirror and to mimic those traumas. And I remember being in a relationship with him, and it's like everything that I do, it would never be seen. It was never perceived through the eyes of love. It was always perceived through, oh, you're trying to leave me, you're trying to sabotage me, you're trying to hurt me. Like, everything that I did, he perceived it as what his mom did to him when he was younger. Okay, and it was just crushing, because it's like, no matter what I can do, you really don't understand the love that I have for you, and I can't even give it to you because you're not even in a place to receive it. So in the second relationship, where his mom was present physically but abandoned him emotionally, I also shapeshift into his mom, meaning that I animated his mom. He saw me as an extension of his mom, whether or not he was aware of this. So he would tell me, oh, my mom never cooked for me, I want you to cook for me like this. Like, he would hound me about not giving him enough physical affection. He was trying to source the love from me that he did not get from his mother. And I saw that. I recognized what was going on. As spiritually aware as he was, he did not recognize what he was doing. He had a blind side, and I was just not going for it. I just was not going for it. I shut it down, ended up getting out of the relationship because it was just too much pressure on me. And of course, I probably, made his abandonment trauma even worse, because I'm already playing the role of his mother in his eyes, and I left him. So that probably made that worse. But what I was supposed to do in that relationship was to surface his triggers to show him where he still needs to heal with that. So yes, for a man that has not done the work, being that has that mother wound, oh yes, be careful getting in a relationship with them, and they are not aware of their triggers. You can get hurt and caught in the crossfire.
An unhealed man is always in motion, not in a productive, building his life kind of way, but in the running from his own reflection kind of way. See, when you're unhealed, silence feels like punishment. Stillness feels like confrontation. And a mirror, whether it's a real one or a metaphorical mirror of a committed relationship, feels like exposure. That's why he's never truly alone. The moment one woman starts to see past the charm, the persona, and the Instagram highlight reel, he's already emotionally halfway out the door and halfway into someone else's DMs. It's not about love. It's not even about lust half of the time. It's about distraction. It's about creating enough noise in his life to draw out the truth he doesn't want to face. And the truth is, he's not ready to deal with himself. An unhealed man will tell himself that moving on quickly means he's strong, that he's not wasting time, but really he's terrified of sitting in the quiet, facing the pain and the mistakes and the patterns and the insecurities that keep following him from relationship to relationship. And here's the kicker. He'll blame every woman along the way okay. She was just too clingy. She didn't understand me. She changed. No. What changed is that you stopped being a fantasy and became a reality. And reality is the one thing he's not ready to commit to. See, healing requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. That courage is in short supply for a man who's more concerned with keeping up with appearances than keeping his actual word. So he runs. He'll run to the woman who don't know his history yet, the one who hasn't seen the patterns, the one who will let him rewrite the story from his point of view. But here's what you need to hear, Rych Babe. His running has nothing to do with your worth. His inability to stay is not a reflection of your ability to love. In fact, sometimes the more deeply you love, the quicker he runs, because deep love feels like deep accountability, and accountability is the last thing that he wants. An unhealed man sees relationships like painkillers. They dull the discomfort for a while, but the root cause is still there. The second the effect wears off, he's looking for a new prospect, okay? And you, my love, deserve better than to be someone's temporary relief. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Some of you will think you can fix him. You'll think if you love him harder, pour into him more, or become the perfect woman, he'll stop running. But understand this, you can't outlove a man's fear of facing himself. You can't become so safe that he stops hiding. Healing is an inside job, and no one can do that for him. And while he's running from himself, he's also running from the version of you that deserves stability and security and a man who's grounded in his own wholeness. That's why your healing has to come first, because the more healed you are, the less tolerance you'll have for someone else's chaos disguised as romance. So what do? You stop chasing the runner. You stop auditioning for a role he's never going to let you keep. You focus on your own growth, your own peace, your own purpose, and you trust that the man who's meant for you won't be running from himself. He'll be running toward you because he's already done the work to stand still. Girl, the truth is this: when a man heals, everything about the way he loves changes. He doesn't see women as escape routes. He doesn't need consistent novelty to feel alive. He can actually sit with you, be present, and build something real. But until then, you'll just be another stop on his detour away from self-awareness. And here's the part you might not want to hear. Sometimes you have to be the one who walks away first. Not because you don't care about yourself to keep being someone's distraction from their own healing. Walking away doesn't make you cold, girl. It makes you wise. It says, I refuse to be collateral damage in your war with yourself, okay? So, my love, if you are in the middle of rebranding yourself, becoming the woman who knows her worth, trusts her boundaries, and attracts love and opportunities from a place of wholeness, my Rych Mindset Mastery, Mastering Her course is for you. Inside, we'll work on your self-concept, your feminine energy, and manifestations, and stepping fully into the frequency of your dream life. So become the woman who walks in a room and make people wonder. Secure the bag, protect your peace, girl, and stay rich, Rych Babes. Love you.